Hey everyone, welcome back to Portal of Wisdom. I'm back today with another story for you. If you are new to the channel, like and subscribe and click that little post notification bell so you get alerted when I post new videos. And now on to today's topic. So, lost treasures seem to be a very popular thing on my channel, and I get a lot of views on them because I think people love that Old West, the legends of lost treasures and the outlaws of the Old West, and a lot of that stuff is pretty fun, pretty interesting, and it's fun to do research on and think about these situations and where these treasures might be found or if they're still there. And this one is the story of the Grand Canyon Waterfall treasure. So this story starts in 1910 with a man named Long Tom Watson. And he found a letter dated May 28th of 1904, I believe. This letter read, "Dear brother, I have found ground covered with gold nuggets in the canyon and collected an ore sack full of them preparatory to coming out. That night, two men I had suspected of following me rode into the camp." Then the letter writer continued on to say that he threw the sack of gold nuggets into a small cave under or behind a 22-foot waterfall. He had gone on to say that if the strangers were good men and had no ill intentions, then he could easily retrieve the sack of gold nuggets when they left. And he said if they had bad intentions, then they would not find the gold. Well, he said they had bad intentions and a fight had ensued, and the letter writer was severely injured. He died soon thereafter, but not before he wrote the letter and drew a treasure map for his brother. So this account didn't state how Long Tom Watson got the letter, whether he found it on a prospector or whether he knew the brother and he had been asked to help find the treasure once the brother could not locate the treasure, because this is 6 years after the letter was written. So in 1910 was when Long Tom Watson had found the letter wherever, or got it however he got it. By June of 1914, Long Tom Watson had been looking for the treasure for quite some time and still had no luck. So he was hiking out on the Tanner Trail, and this is on the south rim of the Grand Canyon, and he heard the sound of a waterfall in the distance, and that sound came from the south, not from the Colorado River. So he found a waterfall 700 feet up the wall of the gorge. So this was it. He found it, and he found behind the waterfall this sack of gold nuggets, and he stuffed his pockets full of gold, and he was excited. And he leapt from the slippery ledge of the cave behind the waterfall, and he slipped on the rock, and he went over the side with the waterfall. And it was said that he broke his leg, but somehow he managed to crawl out of the canyon to his mules. And then he headed to Martin Buglin Rancho on the south rim. So he goes there, then he's brought to the hospital for a long recovery. And he went back into the canyon afterwards to try to find this treasure again, but he could find no permanent waterfall west of Tanner Trail. So there is likely a waterfall only after heavy rains, and the sack of gold nuggets has not been found yet, so apparently it is still near the waterfall. So the story with these details and him breaking his leg and falling for a ways, I'm not sure if what the situation is. If he was behind the waterfall and just happened to slip and fall into the water and break his leg, or the story's not real detailed on whether he fell a long ways or fell, just a little ways. Anyhow, it appears that the cave is kind of behind the waterfall. Maybe it's a little ways up on a trail or so, halfway up the waterfall. I'm not really sure. It doesn't clarify that. But I will share a little story of mine with you since we're on this topic, because there is a danger when you're in the canyons and the rain is coming down and you maybe have waterfalls coming over the edge. There is a danger of flash floods and a lot of issues that have happened with people in the canyons when it's raining. And I've been in one of these canyons during and after these rains, and it's a scary thing. The flash floods can sweep down these canyons and they can drown people, and they have many times. So we had an occurrence in a canyon that leads to the Native American village of Supai. This is also in the Grand Canyon, the western part of the Grand Canyon, and on the Havasupai Reservation. And the Havasupai people, they're called Havasupai, I believe, in their language or whatever. I believe that translates to people of the blue-green waters. And the waters are just beautiful that come through there. It doesn't feel like you're in the Grand Canyon. And there's waterfalls down there that fall 100, 200 feet, and they're just gorgeous. So we were hiking out after a few days spent near the waterfalls, relaxing, and it's a very peaceful, tranquil place. And the native village that's down there has no paved roads or cars. It's like a step back in time 100 years, where everybody still walks or rides horses, and it's a beautiful place. And these people have been in the canyon for a long time. So, anyways, on to our story of our hike out. The clouds above us started to look really ominous and kind of scary. We could tell rain may be coming soon, and we had recently come through like a bottleneck or a narrows in the canyon, maybe a half hour earlier or so on our hike out. So we're hiking up canyon, going up in elevation. And at the bottleneck of the canyon, where it narrows, there's these giant rocks that protrude up from the canyon floor. And, it's already narrow at that point, so you've got to kind of squeeze through past these rocks. And as we were walking, we had already passed the narrows, we're walking, we start seeing some waterfalls pouring over the side of the canyon. Now, mind you, this is before the rain even started to fall on us in the canyon, but it was a sign that a lot of rain was coming, and we knew that we had to find high ground and get up out of the canyon, somewhere somewhat protected. And we found a somewhat protected rock ledge above the canyon floor, and it started to come down in sheets so hard that we still got plenty wet as the rain and wind drove the rain sideways. And we watched the flash flood build and start running down the canyon. And we were probably, I don't know, we might have been maybe 6 or 8 foot up off of the canyon floor. Not real far, but far enough. And we were watching the water get deeper and deeper, knowing that, we had recently passed a hiker group. I believe it was a 2 or 3 people that we had hiked past. They were hiking into the village, so they were going down canyon. And we figured around the time that the flash flood was starting to build up, they were probably hitting the narrows about that point. And we saw the water rushing through, so it was one of those dangerous things. But at this point where the water was passing us, we were up canyon a fair amount, and we figured the water looked to be maybe a couple of feet deep at that point. And it's rushing down the canyon. The waterfalls are coming over the edge of the canyon. They're picking up, more and more water for the flood, and we figured that this approximately 2 feet of water would probably be funneled up and become 5, 6 foot tall wall of water as it hit the narrows, because there's no place for the water to go but up when the canyon gets so narrow. And because these type of situations, it's always wise to watch the weather forecast and clouds when you're in the canyons, as especially if there's little to no escape to get out of the canyon. And these canyons that we were in were very deep. So a lot of the canyons in the Southwest are notorious for flash flood drownings for this exact reason. And that is why looking for this waterfall treasure, where people are more likely to go into a canyon after a good rain or when it's going to be raining, to look for these waterfalls that aren't permanent, it could be a very dangerous situation. So just thought I would throw that in as a little bit of a warning for a situation that we have been in Havasu Canyon in the western part of the Grand Canyon. So anyhow, if you like these kind of stories, like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.